Hello, everybody. This is Ray Brown with Sanders County Community Development, and I wanted to put out a little video here, let you guys know about some things and some data that I've been mining on some labor force situations that we got going on here, and hopefully might provide you a little bit of insight as to why some of your labor shortages are what they are. But let's go right into it.
So our labor force is a little tricky, and there really isn't another way for me to put that. Um, Let me show you why. First off, this is our population by age, and let me go ahead and do that. So our population by age is break down to, you can see a big part of it, 5,000. We have 12,400 people in Sanders County. And what do we have? About 5,000 of those are ages 60 and older. I know a third is 65 years or older. And you can see this other breakdown, 15 and younger, is 2,000. So we really start to lose some population in this mid-range here, and then we start to gain it back as we get a little bit older. I don't think that really is catching too many people by surprise, but it does kind of really put it into perspective. Now, this is our labor force participation rate by age. Now, labor force participation means that of the total numbers, right? The total number by age, right? Those that are actively seeking employment as a percentage, right? So 9% of those ages 65 years or older are seeking employment or are employed. 55% of those 65 or 60 to 74 are seeking employment or are employed. Now, this is where people get really kind of confused about things. Is that from ages 30 to 59, we have only about 60, in between 60 to 66% of our total population of people aged 30 to 59 years old are seeking employment. That means we have 40% of that total number of people not seeking employment. And, how that is or why that is I don't want to say it's anybody's guess. There's actually some data out there to suggest, access to childcare, distance, rate of pay, things along that line. But it's not so much. I don't want everybody to start thinking that, hey, it's just these young generations here are learning how to work. As a matter of fact, we have quite a few folks still, what is this, 34%? Folks within that 45 to 59 range that aren't engaged in the labor force. Let me move on. Now, this is by the numbers. So, again, of our total population, this is the number of people of that age that are engaged, again, either fully employed or are seeking employment. So this kind of really shows you what the ages are of the labor force that currently exists. And this might help you understand that as an employer, the types of things that you might need to start doing in order to, gain more employees, whether that's, shorter staff time, more staff on a part-time basis. This age group is actively seeking employment, but they cannot necessarily be on their feet, for 8+ hours. So you might want to think about splitting that into 2 4s and bringing some folks in. There needs to be creative ways in order for us to, maintain our labor force or maintain the type of labor force that we need in order to supply all of our services. We are a very service heavy industry, or how do I put this? The service sector is heavy, right, in its labor needs in Sanders County. And when you are, historically hiring folks within the 16 to 29 or even in the 30 to 44, that labor pool is shrinking. So maybe we need to start thinking about ways that we can bring in this, older population and bring them back into the fold. Now, these are the numbers of folks that are not participating. Now, what that means is that they are not seeking employment and have not been employed. probably within the last 3 months, but most of these numbers are accurate on the 12-month side of things as well. So this is no surprise. 75 years or older, I don't need them to, engage in the labor force. I mean, just as a matter of whatever principle, I'm happy that there are some that do, and I think that's great. I just don't think as a society that we should, expect it or become reliant on it. If that's something that they want to do, more power to them. Ages 60 to 74, we have 1,626 people not participating. Again, that's an elderly population or an older population. Yeah, there's just a lot of creativity that it would require in order to bring them into the fold. Now, these right here, 795 folks, ages 45 to 59, not participating. 666 of the ages 30 to 44, not participating. Ages 16 to 29, not participating. Now, I have to do the 16, the 19, that's an age range that the census provides because as a data point, they say that your labor force consists of everybody. The civilian labor force consists of people ages 16 to 65. So that's kind of why I have it broken down like this. And just kind of shows you now, are there folks of that 502 not engaged that are maybe 16 to 19? Yeah. But it's not a heavy percentage. This is the breakdown by numbers. So again, this just shows you kind of how it splits up a little bit. We have 1,987 right in the labor force, 1,626 not. So this shows you the breakdown by the numbers, how that works out. The one again that I'm really kind of fascinated by is the 16 to 29. Now, again, we see this as the troubled, the post-COVID population that just don't have a strong work ethic. Well, you'll see that's not necessarily the case. That whatever the case may be in Sanders County, it seems to be across 16 to 29, 30 to 44, and 45 to 59. It's split a 60-40 damn near across all those sectors, right? Heck, even into the 60 to 74, right? This 45 to 59 seems to have the greatest participation rate, those in the labor force versus those against. But there's still 800 people that are ages 45 to 59 that are not engaged. Now, this is by percentage, right? Of 100% of those ages 75 years or older, 115 are, okay? Of 100%, we have 1982. So you can kind of see how that breaks down, right? Again, ages 15 and younger, we're hoping that we're not getting any sort of child, labor violations going on here. But 16 to 29, we see that we have more people engaged, in the labor force than not, which is great, but you actually see that this percentage is higher in the labor force than those ages 30 to 44, right? So this right here is actually the population age that we really need to kind of concern ourselves with. Why is it that we have 666 people, a third of that, or 2/3, I'm sorry, no, a third, okay, sorry, my math's like, of this is not, they're not engaged. And I just, again, I don't know what all of the factors necessarily would be. And again, is there a percentage of folks that just do not enjoy being employed? Sure. Does some of this have to do with disability? There is some of that involved in here. Across the board, I believe there's like 1,427 people in our population that are on disability of some sort. And I'm sure that number is even higher. Those are just the ones that are reported. But is that to say that all of these folks that aren't engaged are on disability? No. Does that mean everybody that's here has inadequate access to childcare, transportation? There's a number of factors that go into this. So I do not want anybody to think that for 1 second that we have poor participation because we just are a lazy bunch in Sanders County. That's not the case. We have some very rural situations that we're dealing with here. So I'm showing you these things because I want you to start thinking of, again, creative ways as employers that you start bringing these people into the fold. You see the ages that are available. You see the folks that are out there. So what can we do to start creating better opportunities for them? So this is the unemployment rate. So unemployment rate is simply calculated by those that are in the labor force that are not actively employed. It has nothing to do with everybody that the total of that age. Okay, it's just those that are actively engaged in the labor force that aren't currently employed. So right now, those that are actively seeking employment that aren't employed that are ages 75 years or older are only 2%. Right? Same thing here at 60 to 74. You have 3% of those ages 45 to 39, right? That are or 59, that are currently seeking employment. Now, here is where your window of opportunity stands. Those ages 16 to 44 both have 9% of those people are actively seeking employment that aren't currently employed. This is where you really need to reach out to your job center, get a feel for the folks that are out there, do a really good job with your job description, and think about ways that you can upskill, train, or what types of training would your potential employers require in order to become employable. Those are things that we can really step into and play a great role in helping you with your workforce development needs. Now here's your breakdown by age and availability. Now this is where things get fun. So we have 40 folks that are available for work, 44 that are available for work that are actively seeking employment, 85 ages 30 to 44 that are actively seeking employment, and 67 between the ages of 16 and 29. These are your numbers, okay, of those actively engaged. Now we can start thinking about, what creative ways can we create that would bring folks into the labor market, which is where some of my remote work strategies have been kicking in a little bit. But we still have those out there that are right now seeking employment. These are the numbers that you're working with. I mean, from Hot Springs to Dixon to Heron and everything in between, this is what you've got. So yeah, this is where I really would ask, any employer that before you fire somebody, really think about what other things that you could do to maybe hold on to some of these folks, because our labor pool is not deep. Granted, there's always a reason to let some folks go. Sometimes that's the most cost effective. But if there's anything that you can do or anything that we can help with or the job center can help out with, please let us know, because yeah, these are scary numbers to work with as an employer. So I feel you. Last thing here is I wanted to show you, and this may be a little bit difficult to read right from the get-go, but in case you were curious as to how Sanders County employment breaks down by, sector, we have, business, we have legal. Now this one right here, this is the one that I really find interesting. It's broken down by, female and male percentages that are in these types of employment. This is lawyers, private attorneys. It says that we have 3 private attorneys in Sanders County and all 3 are females. I don't know 100% accurate if this is, but I do know these are based on sample sizes through the census. And so there's some accuracy to it. In arts, we have 32 folks employed, 218 in healthcare and this types of healthcare practitioners and technical occupations, computer engineering, computer science, management. It's really, really neat. And I've got 2 pages of this. And again, it's broken down by female, male. So if you have any questions on this or any information that I provided here, first off, know that the accuracy is through our U.S. Census that was just recently completed. So it's pretty up to date. But if you got any questions on this, please reach out to me at ray@sanderscountycdc.com, or you can reach me at my office at 406-827-6935. All right, have a good day.